Hi, I'm Susie and welcome to this video about friendship. It says in Proverbs 12:26 that the righteous choose their friends carefully. And I think perhaps sometimes, whether you're a teenager or an adult, we can find ourselves kind of just sliding into friendships and drawn into a relationship, and actually it's not a good relationship and we're in it and it's hard to get out of it. So actually we need to be careful about where we're investing our time. And one of the things that I like to do is I get my prayer journal and I write down the names of all the people in my life. So those people are people perhaps that I see on the school run, the kind of mummy friends that I'm making. I've got my school friends that I'm still in touch with, my uni friends, people that I'm getting to know at church, people from my old church, my old life. I've moved town quite a bit, so people from my past who I want to stay in touch with. And then there's those people who are kind of my mentors, people who invest in me. And there are people that I invest in, people who I want to build up, people I want to serve. So I kind of have all those relationships down in my prayer journal, and I just ask the Lord, you know, how much time am I spending with this person? Is this the right balance of time to be spending with this person? And just kind of review the relationship and think, is this relationship bringing about good fruit? Is the relationship benefiting me? Is the relationship benefiting them? Is the time and the money and the travel, the emotional input, is it all worth it? Is it building me up? Is it building them up? Is it building the kingdom up by having this relationship? And not saying like, you know, it's like healthy eating, you know, you can have some junk food. You're allowed to have fun, you're allowed to just kind of hang out and enjoy friends, but it needs to kind of be building you up and be of a benefit to you. So thinking about this, you know, in the Bible there's this great verse from Proverbs again, which is 27:17. It says, as iron sharpens iron, so person sharpens another. And if we have those kind of good friendships where we kind of spark off each other, we're kind of passionate about the Lord, we're passionate about the world, we're passionate about other people, we want to encourage each other to be the best version of ourselves that we can be. So in that kind of friendship, you know, we might pray together, we might talk about the Bible together, we might share what worship music we're listening to, what preachers we're listening to, we'll share our ups, we'll share our downs, we'll celebrate each other's victories, we will sometimes have painful, honest conversations where we challenge each other. That's great. Not all of our relationships are like that though. In 1 Corinthians 15:33 it says, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. And I don't know if you have any of those friendships where you actually think about it and think to yourself, I don't like who I am when I'm around them. I don't like the negativity that I hear in my voice. I come away feeling drained. I come away feeling perhaps embarrassed or ashamed of some of the things I've said. Maybe it's drawn you into gossiping. Maybe it's drawn you into bad language. Maybe it's drawn you into drinking or some other activity that you kind of walk away and think, this isn't really edifying. This isn't really building me up. This isn't really good. So we need to kind of be careful because it can corrupt us. And I did this little illustration at church the other day, and I was talking about our minds and keeping our minds healthy, about what we kind of put into our minds. So this lovely pink sponge is going to represent our mind, and we're going to think about the outcome. So the reason I've used this sponge is because it saturates, and the things that you put into your mind saturate you. And so on that reflection, I was kind of thinking about what we're watching, what we're reading, what's kind of coming into our mind, what thoughts we're putting into our own minds. But for today's illustration, we're thinking about it from a kind of friendship point of view. Are the things your friends bringing into your life good? So I've got my clear water here for the good things. So this is friendships where, you know, it might be a seasonal friendship, so just, you know, someone you work with, someone on a course that you're with, and it's a good friendship. You know, you enjoy each other's company, you're supporting and encouraging. It can be lonely. We need friends in our lives, and that's great. And it kind of flows out, and it's as clean and pure as it's flowing out as when it's going in, and that's great. But there are other friendships, and I've got this represented by my blackcurrant, where it's not so good. And what's happening is, even though there's some good friendship gone in there, it's starting to taint. The colour of the whole water is changing. You know, and I don't know what your friendships are like, but I can kind of think back in the past, people who I've thought of as friends, and actually when I've kind of analysed the things they've said to me or the ways they've treated me, actually it's not a good friendship at all, and it's having like a negative impact on me. And I think it can actually be quite a brave thing to step away and say, actually, I don't want that negativity. I don't want to saturate my mind with that negativity, and distancing yourself and actually making that choice that the friendships you want to spend time with are the ones that are good and that are pure and that are going to build you up. So now that was a little bit of fun. I've made a little bit of mess in my living room. Just put that to one side. So yeah, in Psalm 1 it says, "Blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the company of mockers, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and who meditates on his laws day and night." I was thinking about these 3 different stances. So there are friends who you walk in step with, there are friends who you stand in the way of, and there are friends whom you sit in the company of. And each of these relationships is different. So kind of walking in step, we're on a journey with those people. And is that direction that they're taking you in a good one? So it's saying about walking in step with the wicked. We don't want to walk in that way. So if the relationship's drawing you in a direction that's not godly, that's not helping you to live the life God's calling you to, that's something we want to avoid. And then standing, thinking like, who are you standing with? You know, back at school, you have kind of the playground politics, don't you? Like, my kids are a bit young at the moment, but they have these kind of moments that like, come on, oh, so-and-so was being mean to me, or I couldn't play with such and such. They're kind of choosing who they're associating with. As a teenager, it becomes even more important. So you might not be playing at playtime, but actually, who are you sitting at the table with? Who are you standing with? Who are you associating with? Because I like stand up and be with. And then there are those who we sit in the company of. And we kind of, that's back to that kind of idea of our mind being saturated. We're sitting, we're at rest, and we're absorbing what's around us when we're sitting. We're not actively moving, we're placed somewhere, and that is when we can have an impact. And so we want to make sure that we are putting ourselves in the company of people who are going to be building us up. I love it in Luke 6:31. Do to others as you would have them do to you. And I think in friendship, this is just a great rule. Be the friend you want to have. Sometimes people say they're lonely. No one at school has invited us anywhere. No one at church has invited us anywhere. Well, sometimes we have to just make that decision. If you've not had the invitation, but you would want one, that you offer the invitation, that you make your home the place that you would want to be invited into. And we do have to recognise that in our friendships, we will mess up, we will make mistakes, people will double book, people will forget to text back, people will not confirm or not be available. You know, people have busy lives, they can't drop everything to kind of be with us all the time when we need them. And it says in Colossians 3:13, bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you. And in our friendships, it's really important not to kind of hold any grudges of things that have happened in the past. We just need to kind of keep clearing that way and just forgiving them. It says that kind of love covers a multitude of sins, and that's so true. Our choice to love people means that we can overcome a disagreement, we can overcome an offence that they have caused against us, and sometimes people don't even mean to cause offence. I mean, I have sometimes obsessed about friendships, wondering what's gone wrong. What have I done wrong? Why are they not hanging around with me at the moment? Why are they not answering me? And actually it's got nothing to do with me at all. It's something else that's going on in them. And we need to kind of have that confidence in ourselves that the way we've acted towards people is right, that we haven't done anything wrong. If we are concerned that we kind of ask the Holy Spirit to show us what we've done wrong, and then we can just leave it and have peace. And if people choose to move away from us, that's their choice. And one of the things I have felt with some of my relationships with non-Christians is that they actively choose to distance themselves. So I haven't condemned them, I haven't condemned their choices or their behaviour, but they move away. And it says in the word about people don't like the light. And I think sometimes when we are Christians and we are walking in the light, and we are hanging around with non-Christians, sometimes they choose to separate themselves from the light that we bring because they want to carry on in their ways which are dark ways. They don't want, they know that the relationship they're in isn't the one they should be in, and they don't want to deal with that, so they'd rather just not be around us, even though you might not have said anything about it. It says in Proverbs 17:17, a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity. Definitely, when it's all going wrong, having good friends that you can rely on is so important. It transforms a situation. I love that kind of verse in Ecclesiastes 4:9-10. It says, two are better than one because they have a good return for their labour. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Friendship is so important because we get a better return for our labour. When we're doing something, whether, I've worked in various different jobs, from McDonald's to working at a gym, working in various offices, and now I'm working from home on my own, and I miss that. I miss that company of other people. It really can transform a day at work if you've got good people around you. So it can change our labour. At church, in the same way, if we've got a good team of people, like when I was doing the youth ministry, people that we can bounce ideas off, people that we can be creative with, people who are willing to kind of listen and help us work things out, it totally transforms the experience. And when we make mistakes, when things are hard, having friends who can help pick you up is amazing. And I'm so grateful for all of my friends. Over the last couple of years, I've really, sifted out my friends. I've seen those who aren't really my friends at all, people who just wanted me for what they could get from me, and other people who really stood by and gone the extra mile, literally miles, to see me and to invest that time in our relationship. I don't know what I would do without it. I think that's part of God's plan, is to give us people like that, and I hope that in turn that I can be that kind of friend to other people. This is kind of like a random mishmash of thoughts today, and I hope that it's kind of making some sort of sense to you. But really, I suppose what I'm saying is we need to kind of think about our friendships. Are those friendships good for us? Are those friendships good for the other person? What is the fruit of the relationship? If spending time with those people is demanding a lot of time, demanding perhaps a lot of money, sometimes people have expensive tastes. If those people are continually, repeatedly hurting us and it's damaging us being in that relationship, if it's bringing out the worst in us, when we're around those people we find ourselves swearing or gossiping, being negative, judging others, though we come away from that perhaps feeling ashamed of some of the things we've said or the ways we've behaved. We've got to start asking ourselves, is this a relationship God wants me to invest in? And it's okay to walk away. So in Matthew 10:14, Jesus said, shake the dust off your feet. We've only got so many hours in the day. We've only got so much space and time to invest in people. So we want to make sure we're investing it in the right place. And it's okay to look at a relationship and say, actually, this is a negative relationship and I'm not going to carry on investing in that. On the other hand, we all need relationships where we have a bit of give and take. We are peers, we are acquaintances perhaps for a season. And then there are others who grow deeper into friendship, and so we will continue those friendships even if we change job, even if we move town, even if we have children going on to the next stage of life. We need those wise, mature friends who can give us input, who can encourage us to be the best version of ourselves. Friends who increase our capacity, that when we spend time with them we're built up and lifted up and we kind of come away thinking that was a good time. And it won't always be like that, it's okay to have kind of seasons up and down with our friends. But overall, hopefully you can look at the friendship and say, this is a good friendship, this is a right friendship, and it's a good place for me to be investing my time and energy. So that is my hopefully helpful thoughts from the Bible about friendship. So it's something not to just slip into. Yes, you might have found them in a funny, quirky way that you made friends, but actually be intentional about your friendships. Be carefully considering the people that you are spending time with. Who are you walking in step with? Who are you standing with? Who are you sitting in the company of? What are you inputting into your life? Are these friendships bringing about good fruit? And if they're not, how can you get yourself out of that relationship so that you can invest your time better?